No one would think of the word, feel suppressed, when talking about fifth-generation aircraft unless they understood the dilemma faced by Japan's F-35 fighter jets. From a related report published by the official online account of Aviation Knowledge magazine, it can be learned that Japan's F-35s include 42 F-35Bs and 105 F-35As, the total number of which has already exceeded that of Israel and is the largest number of F-35s possessed by a country other than the United States. But even such a large number of fifth-generation fighters, but still did not give Japan enough security. Some people even think that Japan spends a lot of money to equip the F-35, but it is just doing useless work and spending money in vain, because before Japan's F-35 came out, it has never seen such a useless advanced warplane. Why do you say so? The reason is simple. Because there is a country to the west of Japan called China, and China has a fighter jet called the J-20. From Japan's geographical coordinates and its special relationship with the United States, there are basically only two starting points for Japan to introduce or produce any equipment to guard against the two major powers to the west, China and Russia. Considering that Russia's strategic center of gravity is now placed on the European side, the country that Japan is most afraid of and needs to focus on guarding against is undoubtedly only one, which is China. That's why Japan will introduce a large number of F-35 from the US. After all, the Air Force needs to use this equipment to gain air superiority to prevent the Chinese Air Force. The sea needs this equipment to deal with China's naval aviation. But the problem is that the F-35 is at a relative disadvantage in a number of ways in dealing with the J-20, which means that no matter how many advanced fighters Japan introduces, it will not be able to cope in the face of China's powerful military force. The reason is actually very simple, because the F-35 is a multi-purpose fifth-generation aircraft, while the J-20 is an air superiority fighter. This means that in the actual combat process, the F-35 is more like a hexagonal warrior that can achieve 80 points in all aspects, while the J-20 can get 95 points or even close to the full score of 100 points in the air superiority project, or enough to hit the general damage of the descending blow. For example, stealth design. Because the air superiority fighter is more focused on the confrontation with the enemy similar products, compared with the multi-purpose fighters, they will generally use more advanced and fine technology. The fuselage lines will be more smooth. Radar absorbing material application is also more mature. Radar reflection cross-sectional area is very small, to be able to avoid enemy radar detection more effectively. From this point of view, the F-35, in contrast to the J-20, it is already the first to lose a move. In terms of maneuverability, J-20 has an overwhelming advantage. It is equipped with turbofan 15 turbofan engine. The efficiency is not below the F119 engine used by F-22, and it has supersonic cruising ability. At the same time, J-20's flight control system is also extremely advanced. Pilots can easily make Pugachev Cobra maneuver, falling leaf floating and other difficult maneuvers, so as to quickly occupy a favorable position in the close-range fighting, to seize the battlefield first opportunity. The F-35 is designed to be a multi-purpose fighter, with many compromises on maneuverability, fat body type, limited supersonic cruising ability, and far worse performance than the J-20. In terms of avionics system, J-20 is equipped with active phased array radar, advanced optoelectronic targeting system and other advanced equipment, which is at the world-leading level, with strong target detection, tracking and locking capabilities, capable of achieving first enemy discovery, first enemy attack, perfect realization of over-the-horizon combat, and mastering the battlefield initiative. F-35's avionics system is also very advanced, but taking into account that it is not as good as F-22 in many key performance indicators, and J-20 has been criticized by many people as a good choice. F-35 is also very advanced, but considering that it is not as good as F-22 in many key performance indicators, and J-20 is considered by many military experts that the avionics system is not under F-22, which indicates that in terms of avionics system, F-35 is also not as good as J-20. In a comprehensive view, J-20 in the air superiority performance of the full range of crush F-35. F-35 cannot beat J-20 is completely expected things. What's more, most of the F-35 introduced by Japan is the monkey version of the US castration. The genuine F-35 is difficult to J-20 threat. The monkey version of the goods naturally even more in the words. So, as mentioned before, Japan introduced F-35 to deal with China, but they are no threat to J-20, so it's only right to use the word useless to describe them. Therefore, Many people believe that Japan's purchase of the F-35 against the J-20 is not a wise move in any case. Japan, if you really want to fight against China's air superiority fighter, in fact, there are only two ways to go. One is to buy in J-20 similar air superiority 5th generation fighters. The other is the development of the fighter's air superiority 5th generation fighters. Unfortunately, none of these two paths is feasible. At present, in the world, have the ability and the air superiority of this program, and the J-20 confrontation of the 5th generation aircraft. There is and only the United States of America's F-22. Due to the F-22, integrated with a large number of U.S. advanced industrial system, the United States will never be able to sell to the outside world, so this road is ruled out. The production of 5th generation air superiority aircraft, Japan is full of heartache. As early as 2000, Japan put forward the concept of producing similar products. In 2006, God of the Heart project started, even earlier than the J-20 test flights 5 years. But now, not to mention China's J-20 has long been officially in service and combat effectiveness is not inferior to the United States F-22. Even the strength of the military industry is far inferior to Japan's. Turkey, South Korea have begun to test fly their own 5th generation aircraft. Japan's domestic program is still 8 or not a skim. The reason, in fact, only 2 words, that is, the United States. After all, Japan and the United States, nominally a military alliance, but in fact not reciprocal. It is more that the United States needs Japan as a bridgehead for its own embedded East Asia, so it dispatched heavy troops in Japan. Japan, in turn, because of its status as a defeated country in World War II, has lost sufficient armed forces and is dependent on the United States for protection. This dependence has doomed Japan to be inferior to the United States in the face of the United States on a number of issues, and it has to submit to the will of the United States. For example, the aforementioned Shinkan project, then responsible for the project Mitsubishi Heavy Industries has come up with the Shinkan demonstration aircraft and the successful maiden flight, which has caused a lot of discussion in various countries. But the United States, out of the maintenance of their own military trade market considerations, that the emergence of the Shinkan, easy to F-35's export sales impact. The Americans even felt that if the Japanese really built this fighter, after the development of military power, it would be out of the control of the United States. The United States then used a number of means to exert pressure on Japan, which ultimately led to the end of the Shinshin program without any problems. Therefore, in the case of 2 roads are blocked by the United States, so the only choice is the F-35, which is not air superiority fighter, but after all, it is also a 5th generation aircraft. The F-35 is at a disadvantage in air superiority against the J-20. Japan can only do in the number of articles, hoping to make up for the quality of the inferiority of the number. But this approach is only a stopgap measure. Japan's F-35 is destined to top the useless evaluation in the shadow of China's J-20.